Hello and welcome to Defender of the Crown on the Commodore 64, and well, this is a conversion of quite a famous Amiga game. The Amiga version was sort of quite groundbreaking at the time in terms of providing a sort of movie type experience, and it was quite an early Amiga game. It really sort of showed off what you could do with the sort of 16-bit technology. So I think it was a bit of a surprise when it was actually converted pretty well actually to the 64. So the guys did a pretty good job converting it, I think. The only thing the 64 maybe suffers a little bit is the disk access, which is a bit... It's not quite as intrusive as the Amiga version, but it's a bit longer. And apparently I never seen it, but I think there was a cassette version of this. It must be absolutely horrific to play, but apparently I think it does exist. Right, so at the start you can choose one of 4 characters, and they've got different attributes. You can see leadership, jousting and swordplay. And these aren't just for show. I mean, these actually they do have a quite strong influence on the game and how you go about playing the game. You know, if you pick somebody who's quite good at jousting, then you're more likely to hold more tournaments to try and raise money. Or if you pick somebody who's good at swordplay, you might go on more raiding missions to try and raise money. So it's quite a... it does have quite a big impact on the game. Let's go Cedric of Rotherwood. Yeah, I think somebody's made an easy flash version of all the Cinemaware games, so you can basically just play in cartridge or cartridge emulation, and it speeds up the loading quite a bit. Probably the best way to play these games, but I thought I'd play the disc version just to give a bit more of an authentic feel. Yeah, so I never actually played this back in the day. I've been playing the Amiga version a bit recently. But the 64 version, it does have a couple of additions. It came out a year or two later, and they've added a couple of bits to the more to the combat side of things. Just little things, but definitely makes the game a bit better. I think the gameplay. So you start off at Sherwood Forest, and Robin tells you about how the land's in chaos and that sort of thing. And I think if you are suffering in the game, you can actually go and visit Robin and try and recruit, or he'll lend you some men, I think, if I remember. So we're using the second disc now, and I think the game pretty much just stays on this disc for the bulk of the gameplay now. So there's not much in the way of disc swapping. So we start the game, and income 3, I've now got 10 gold. Now, the amount of income you get depends on how much land you own, that sort of thing, so it's best to quickly... how much men have I got? Yeah, it's best to quickly try and get some land. So if I transfer, I'll just transfer all my soldiers into the army. Then I can move the army, and then I own that land now. And you're best trying to do this quickly at the start of the game, just try and get as much land as possible before you start holding tournaments and things like that. And what you can do is you can build castles in different territories so you can hold them a bit more successfully, because it also doesn't, if your army isn't in the territory and the enemy attacks, then he's going to take it. Maybe time to build some more soldiers, I think. or build well, add more soldiers to the army. Not build more soldiers, but you know what I mean. Right, yeah, so you can have some knights. So at the minute they're in the garrison, so they'll defend the castle if it's attacked, but pretty unlikely at this stage of the game. Oh, somebody's attacking my, yep, he's taking that. Right, so yeah, it's mostly a sort of lightweight strategy game. It's not too much in it. There's only a few things you can really do, but there's a couple of arcade sequences, and well, let's hold a tournament, and I'll show you what I mean. So we'll fight for lands, and we'll pick somebody's. Well, I'll pick that one. He's gonna. Okay. So yeah, it's loading in the tournament graphics. I must admit, the graphics are pretty good. Recreations of the original Amiga game. Yeah, they're really, really quite impressive. As you can see, really nicely drawn. I think the first-person view and the jousting is brilliant. It's really, really great. And yeah, it's all the graphics in the game are pretty good. The sound effects and the jousting are pretty good. Nice sort of rumbling horse sound. And the music, all the tunes and stuff like that are pretty reasonable versions of the Amiga tunes. Just as good as the Amiga tunes, really. So here we are. It's just loading in. And we're off. Just got to line your lance up. Yep, managed to win the first joust there. So again, I can push my luck and try and get more lands. Again, successful. It's I think your joust sort of wobbles a bit more if you choose one of the characters that isn't quite as good at jousting. Because I picked one that's quite good at jousting, he's going to be rubbish at sword play and things like that. I'll just go for fame, I think. Right, so where are we? Yep, okay, I think it's time to go raiding. I'll show you some more of the game. In fact, yeah, we'll go raiding. Let's try and raid this castle. So this is what you do is you just try and get in the castle and steal some gold. Right, so I'm the sort of light yellow guy, and this is where there's a bit of a change on the Amiga version here. You actually get little energy balls, which gives you an idea of how well you're doing. I think it's quite a nice addition, I think. the idea of sword players that you've got to try and catch your opponent off balance, then sort of go for the lunge. Again, this is pretty nicely done. Got all the shadows on the wall that the Amiga version had. It's quite nicely done. I'm obviously not going to win this one. If you get captured, you get held to ransom. You got to pay some gold to get out of it. Let's have a look. Yeah, if I buy a catapult, if I try and get my army back, I can put the catapult in with it and try and maybe assault a castle. Oh, here we go. So yeah, it offers a sort of cinematic experience, sort of throws you in. That was the whole idea of Cinemaware's ethos. It wanted to give you that cinematic experience that games didn't quite offer at the time. Sometimes at the expense of let's try and rescue, but it's a maiden in distress. Sometimes it wasn't entirely successful. The gameplay sometimes wasn't that great, but some of the games had more of a narrative, kept you more interested. I mean, this is quite. It was the first game, so or one of the first games, so it was quite simplistic in that regard. So yeah, so what do I think of the game? Yeah, it's a fairly simplistic game. It's nothing very deep or complex, but it's all in the atmosphere. I think it's definitely a sort of sucks you in. I think the atmosphere. From that point of view, it's quite entertaining. I think you can definitely while away a good hour or so. Just sort of doing a mixture of raiding and tournaments, and it's not really. I wouldn't say it was hugely satisfying to play, but it's quite entertaining. And yeah, the graphics and the sound are pretty good. The gameplay is okay, and yep, there's not really. Let's see if I can conquest move army. See if I can transfer that catapult. There we go. Try and assault this castle, maybe. So this is Castle Siege. I think when it came out, yeah, it's a pretty decent game. I'll give it 8 out of 10. I think it's still quite enjoyable, if nothing particularly outstanding, but. It's definitely, well, it draws me in anyway. The atmosphere definitely draws me in. Again, maybe try playing the Easy Flash version, just cut down the loading times. Again, I don't remember seeing that in the Amiga. You could pick different types of ammunition. So that's definitely another feature that I don't think was quite in the Amiga game. Don't say I was particularly good at this. Disease, I can try and lob some disease in. Yes, and this bit I think is certainly improved on the Amiga as well. I think you get a few more options, and it's just a numbers game really. I think I'm going to get defeated, but there's a few more options you can do. And I don't think there was a graphical section there on the Amiga. I think it's just a window pops up with the numbers. Yep, so yeah, that's Defender of the Crown. I think it's a good version of, a landmark Amiga game. I mean, I don't think it's the greatest game ever, but yeah, it's definitely entertaining for a while anyway. Worth a look. Right, yep, 8 out of 10. See you in the next video.